Hey, what's up, guys? So we're gonna look at Cemu real quick. I only have Windwaker HD and Twilight Princess HD, and I'm actually just gonna show you guys both of them real quick. There's not a whole lot of settings you need to change with Cemu, and given that it's Zelda's 35th anniversary, and it's by far one of my favorite franchises, probably gonna do a couple quick emulator videos featuring Zelda games over these next few days. Just because I want to celebrate it, and it's like one of the best franchises, um, in my opinion. But yeah, so we'll just go over the settings real quick. There's really not much you need to do. Most of these are default. I didn't really change any of these. I did turn off Discord presence. I usually do that for all my emulators on the WinMax in particular, just because it is one less thing to run in the background. I don't know what it actually does, if it does anything in the background, but I usually just turn it off. With graphics, I use Vulkan. Obviously, the Intel, you want pre-compiled shaders. I almost always turn VSync off when it comes to emulators, as that does add latency. Async shader compile. I've been messing with these just to see how it changes the look of the game. But, either Hermite or bicubic are fine. I don't really care for bilinear. With most of my emulators, I try to avoid it. But bicubic and Hermite both look fine. Basically the same, to be honest. X Audio 2 doesn't really matter. Again, these are all basically just the default settings. I haven't really touched any of these. This was set up by default as well. With Cemu, everything is already set up in a way that there's really not much you need to change anymore. So I'll go through these. The game profile settings are the same for Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. So you'll load shader shared libraries. Auto for your CPU mode. In this one, you want to set to the highest. Graphics, you want this shader accuracy to true. Controller is kind of your preference, how you want to do and set all that up. But this is the exact same for Twilight Princess and Wind Waker. And honestly, any game you add will probably be basically the same. The only big differences will come from graphics packs. So we've got, I set this one to colorful, max for gameplay, no SSAO. That's mainly a performance bump. It's slight, but it is, and it also takes away that weird blur. I don't like that blur, but it's kind of personal preference. For this, I have it set to 16 by 900. Unfortunately, there is no 16 by 10 resolutions, at least that I noticed. So I just stuck with 16 by 900, 1600 by 900. For shadow resolution, I have it set to high. I have the FPS slowdown ticked, the Intel integrated GPU fixes, and the pick-to-box fix. This one may not be needed anymore. I'm not sure. I haven't gotten that far in. I'm actually just at the point where that would be necessary. And then for Twilight Princess graphics packs, I have this set to warm colorful, max for gameplay. This one does have a 16 by 10, so I put it at 1440 by 900. And most of these are kind of your personal preference. You can turn off that distance fog, but that does weird things. Removing HUD, that's more for taking like screenshots and stuff. And then performance resolutions kind of give you a bump in frame rate if it's needed, but it's really not. And in fact, I'm probably going to bump up the resolution on here because that's kind of a performance resolution and it's not really needed. I don't know. I wonder if a 21 by 9 would look good on here. Those are big. Let's try that one. Let's see if that fixes the weird stretching you get from 16:9 to 16:10. Alright. So I have to have the audio off because this is a Nintendo game and I will get struck by the almighty band hammer in the sky. Yeah, that actually looks pretty good. It's not running at a solid 30 because of that increased frame rate, but it's not a big deal. That increased resolution. But, I mean, with these two games in particular on Cemu, there's just not a whole lot you need to do. It's going to come down to personal preference more than anything. They're just going to load and work. I mean, the textures, there's minimal pop-in even when new shaders are being compiled. It runs. I mean, you start the game and it runs. You don't really need to do a lot of tweaking like you do with RPCS3 and some of the other emulators. You won't have to worry about diving into config files or anything. See, as you can see, you know, it was black for a split second, then boom, the texture loaded. So it's quick, it's stable. I don't really get crashes with Cemu, at least not in a long time. I haven't had the simulator crash. So I think that's good enough. I'm not going to make you guys watch Tingle. One of the most divisive characters in the Zelda franchise. Alright, and let's just pop into Twilight Princess. So much like RPCS3, you know, you're going to get regressions and improvements in games, and this is definitely one that suffers from that. In particular with these menus, like sometimes there'll be weird vertex explosions and just weird things like that. Sometimes the mini-map down there in the left corner will be broken. Sometimes these menus will be broken. It just depends on Intel drivers as well as the version of Cemu you're using. But all in all, these two games run just fine. You're not really going to have to do too much. And if you're a fan of the Zelda franchise, believe me, this is the best way to play these two games. No offense to Dolphin, it's just these have native texture improvements. So rather than, you know, just upscaling 480p graphics, you're upscaling 720p, as well as the improved textures. So yeah, I mean, there's just not a lot to talk about with Cemu. I will probably do a Breath of the Wild video down the road. I had it on here before, but I actually removed it because at the time it wasn't running too great. But yeah, I mean, that's probably going to be it for this video. I mean, as you can, it's kind of hard to see. I know my current video recording situation isn't great for showing the actual quality. But it looks really good. But yeah, that'll do it for this video. I'll probably have a couple more Zelda videos out today, or in the next few days. But yeah, Cemu runs, I mean, perfect, really, on this emulator. I think the only thing broken right now is the rupee counter. I mean, honestly, that's all I've noticed with this game in particular. And that's one of those things that's a regression, and then it's fixed in the next build, and then it regresses. It's not a big deal. It's not going to affect gameplay drastically. In fact, I think... Let's see if I can remember which one. Yeah, one of these menus actually does tell you how many rupees you have. I can't remember where, but yeah, it's not really a big deal. But thanks for watching, guys, and have a good day, and I will have more videos for you soon.